On this episode of O'Fallon Matters, see O'Fallon PD's newest canine officer in action. Travel back in time with a history presentation that sparked the interest of local history buffs and get an update on the downtown water main project. All this and more next on O'Fallon Matters. Welcome to this episode of O'Fallon Matters. From design to construction, O'Fallon's new Justice Center is almost complete. Before that cornerstone was laid, an important ceremony was in order. Joe Meyer is here with more.
With a strong reputation as a community where residents can truly live, work, and play, O'Fallon, Missouri is the 7th largest city in the state of Missouri and the 2nd largest city in the St. Louis metropolitan area. O'Fallon has been consistently rated as one of America's best places to live and one of America's safest cities. And when O'Fallon voters passed Proposition 1 in April of 2015, the city's elected officials and staff immediately began the process of making the dream of a new Justice Center a reality. From the groundbreaking ceremony to the final beam being placed, construction has progressed at a rapid pace. And recently, elected officials gathered for another special ceremony.
Not through books.
For hundreds of years, it has been customary to have Freemasons perform a dedication ritual to bless the cornerstone of public buildings. And the pride of the West, number 179, Agent Free, and accepted Masons dedicated the symbolic cornerstone, which supports the entire building.
We have assembled here today to lay the cornerstone of this house, which we pray to God may deserve to prosper by becoming a place of concourse for the good men and by promoting harmony and brotherly love throughout the world till time shall be no more.
What it does is it puts a blessing on the new building and on the people that are in the building, and hopefully will give some kind of a blessing to the people that are here and the building itself for the next 50 years or so that the building lasts.
I think it's significant. The cornerstone has the year on it, so 2017. So that'll be, memorialized for the life of the building. It's a connection to community and connection to other people.
This ceremony was a great milestone for the project. The city of O'Fallon and its residents appreciate and thank the Masons for blessing our new facility. And the next step in the construction of the Justice Center will be completion.
We're in the finishing stages. We're looking at turning it over in September of this year. We're finishing up with the interiors, with the carpet and the flooring. We're going through startup of the mechanical equipment. The building's being cooled with the system for the life of the building, and finishing up some of the exterior in anticipation of turning over in a few weeks.
O'Fallon's new Justice Center is located on Bryan Road, south of Veterans Memorial Parkway. The new 80,000 plus square foot building will house a police station and a municipal court with secure underground parking for police vehicles. This leading-edge facility is designed to meet the needs of a modern police force while enabling the city of O'Fallon to continue providing the highest level of service to the community. And if you would like more information on O'Fallon's new Justice Center, you can go to www.o'fallon.mo.us/PD.
Police Officer Grizz has already made a name for himself, tracking down narcotics and making arrests. He does this all not for a paycheck, but for toys and affection. OFallonTV's Brett Fickus is here to introduce us to O'Fallon's newest canine officer.
Dogs are known as man's best friend, and for good reason. They're our constant companions, hanging out with us around the house, playing with us in the yard, even watching TV with us in our downtime. They'd probably even go to work with us if they had a chance. And for some lucky dogs like Grizz here, they get to do just that. When Dominic Mizuraka suits up for his job as an O'Fallon police officer, Canine Grizz is right alongside him, ready to go to work catching bad guys and tracking down narcotics. As part of the newest canine team in O'Fallon, Grizz hasn't been on the job long, but he's already making a name for himself as he patrols our community.
One of the first days that that he was actually in service and able to be used, he had some really good finds with some methamphetamine, and we also caught some people breaking into a vacant house, I think his first or second week on the road, so he really started off running.
But Grizz wasn't always a highly trained asset of the O'Fallon Police Department. When Officer Mizuraka first met Grizz, this adorable ball of fur couldn't do even the simplest tasks. It took a lot of training for Grizz to grow up, but he quickly developed a connection with his handler.
When we were training with him, I noticed he was a little bit of a drama queen because I would try to get him to sit or lay down, and you would have thought that I was, abusing him. He would, yelp and not want to sit and not want to lay down, and then it was pretty amazing how quick he picked up on everything. When I was up at school, I noticed that a lot of guys that had dogs and were training up there, you don't always click right away, or it takes you a little bit to click. Luckily for me and him, we kind of figured each other out. So I was just really impressed with being as young as he was and how little time we had, how fast he matured, and how fast he continues to mature.
Police work seems to be in Grizz's blood, and he's adapted to his specialized training even quicker than expected. As a patrol dog, he can be counted on to detect the odor of narcotics like heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana. He's also adept at tracking down suspects and evidence, and when push comes to shove, he's ready to make apprehensions as well. When it comes to his specialties, he's worth a dozen regular police officers.
We can help with tracks and vehicle searches, and he's just so much more of an asset to us than what a normal officer could do. Say, just for instance, with an evidence search in a field, it could take an officer hours, and not even maybe days to find some evidence. Where if I put him out in the field and let him go look for it, it could take him a matter of minutes to find it. So they take what we can do, and they make it so much easier because of their noses and what they're able to do. They just make all of our jobs, not just mine. He makes the entire department's job easier.
Grizz is also an excellent ambassador for the O'Fallon Police Department, and he's already made appearances at the annual Safety Town program, showing off his skills to local kids. In the future, you'll likely be able to see Grizz at Coffee with a Cop and other community events. But while Grizz loves to meet the public, he's happiest when he's backing up his best friend, Officer Mizuraka.
It's always knowing that I have that backup there with me. I don't ever have to wonder, when's the nearest officer, how long is it going to take another officer to get here. If I need it, I know that he's more than capable of being there for me, and he's only the push of a button. If I'm not in the car, he's only the push of a button away. And most of the time, he's real eager to be right next to me. So I know he's just waiting to hear that door open so he can come help me if he's needed. I'd say it's just the peace of mind knowing that that's there and having that tool with me 24/7 to where if he's needed, he's there.
Canine Grizz is a tremendous asset to our department. In return for affection and play, Grizz gladly hunts down narcotics and tracks down the bad guys. And we can expect to see him and his handler patrolling our streets for years to come.
371 out with 335.
Thanks for the story, Brett. It's good to know that Canine Grizz and Dominic have teamed up to become a formidable crime-fighting duo. Next in O'Fallon Matters, local history enthusiasts were all abuzz when they attended a special presentation. Let's check out the highlights from that day.
The city of O'Fallon has a rich history that reflects who we are today. And remembering where we came from can teach us important lessons for future generations. You see, there is a cemetery in town called Sage Chapel that is the resting place for hundreds of African Americans who once lived in our community. Recently, Sage Chapel was restored by local residents in the city of O'Fallon. And that's why a group of devoted history enthusiasts gathered at the BFW Post 5077 and Ladies Auxiliary to hear local historian Doris Keevan Frank speak about her genealogical quest to help one man learn his past.
And we're talking about one of the families that lived here in the O'Fallon area in St. Charles County in the 1800s. a family that was born into slavery. One of their members went on to serve in the Civil War, and we have some of the descendants in town today. So we're talking about their family and their story so that others can hear their history.
During the presentation,
Sarah
Doris
has a
Keevan
brother
Frank
named
spoke
George.
about her search to find George Abington's grandfather. The story began back in 2012
William
when George
Addington,
asked Doris to
which
lend
would
him a
explain
hand.
why he is no longer found in any document.
My father never mentioned his father, and I was curious to find out who he was.
I love helping people connect with their past and their heritage, and I've been a professional genealogist for like 30 years or so, and the thing is that I did it without thinking, and all 4 of George's grandparents were born slaves. So this was not an easy journey, but I learned a lot. George and I became good friends, and we found a very interesting story.
Those in attendance were fascinated as Doris explained how she unlocked the mystery. In fact, Doris and volunteers spent a great deal of time sifting through old court documents in hopes that George could find closure. But in the end, Doris informed the crowd that she was
Last ones that
ultimately
had to go home
successful.
were the farmer slaves.
She found his name and said he was killed, and then my grandmother remarried.
In the closing remarks of
Well, you
the
went to
ceremony,
Ancestry, right?
attendee Phyllis Hayden recognized that she was a distant relative to George Abington. He is the only relative she has ever met from her mother's side. A DNA kit was donated to both of them to prove their family connection. Events like this teach us about our history, and it also brings to light important stories that need to be heard.
If you don't know where you come from, you're always going to make mistakes, as a lot of people say. But the thing is, it centers the community if we know, what our history was, and it brings communities together.
Sometimes these stories aren't all cheerful, but they're important, and they need to be recorded and remembered so that people who are my age and younger can understand what our ancestors went through and be able to take that and apply it to the issues we're dealing with today.
History, community, and understanding were the foundation of this important presentation. And next time you drive by that old cemetery known as Sage Chapel, please remember those souls who were buried there. And thanks to the O'Fallon Historical Society and O'Fallon's Historic Commission for putting a presentation together that captured the hearts of many.
A recent metro area conference gave young men and women an eye-opening experience into the world of law enforcement. Kim Doan is here with more.
These young men and women are part of a law enforcement program known as Police Explorers. Police Explorers is a career-oriented program that gives young adults the opportunity to explore a career in law enforcement by working with local law enforcement agencies. Part of this program includes an intense training academy.
Every 2 years, we plan this and run it for the kids. They get police recruit level training in all of the aspects of law enforcement. We bring in guest instructors from the outside, from area police departments, as well as the FBI and all the local law enforcement agencies.
This academy is a opportunity for police explorers from the greater St. Louis area to basically test their skills. It's like the real academy condensed down into only a week, with graduation being on Saturday. And when you get here, it's paramilitary style boot camp. Get out, get where you need to go. We have classroom training, we have hands-on training with role plays and such, and everything's just a great opportunity to gain the knowledge before you get to the real police academy.
Throughout the 3 years that I've been here, I've learned everything from basic traffic stops, basic patrol, to very advanced death investigations, interview processing, very, very technical operations, including SWAT team, K-9 units, air support. Every aspect of the job gets covered in this academy.
Students also get the opportunity to listen to the officers talk about life on the job.
We had a lecture session where there were 3 officers came in that were involved in shootings, and they told us their stories. One of the officers, when he was telling a story, his hand was visibly shaking. you can tell they've been through a lot. It still affects them, and having them be able to come in and tell us that story really meant a lot, and it shows us that they're here to mentor us. They're not here because they're being forced to. They really want to be here and help us out.
The training these students get will definitely prepare them for law enforcement, should they choose this career path.
Oh, I will, without a doubt, be a much better officer in the future with this training that I've had. Officers I've talked to that are here, they all say, I wish I would have been an explorer.
We coming back through?
The explorer aspect, it has very much put me ahead of many of the people in my post. It's allowed me to advance myself as an explorer with my tactics, my attitude, and just the overall experience very much pushes you to be a better person.
We like to try to get the word out, not only about our academy, but also about law enforcement exploring in general. We really encourage anybody from ages 14 to 21, if you have just a small interest in law enforcement, to contact your local police department and see if they have an exploring post and go check it out.
For anyone in the O'Fallon area who would like to know more about the O'Fallon Police Explorers, contact Dave Pollard at dpollard@o'fallon.mo.us or give him a call at 636-379-5777.
O'Fallon's infrastructure is always expanding and improving. Replacing our downtown's aging water main system is a high priority and an opportunity to renew O'Fallon. Let's see how the project is progressing.
Have you noticed a few lane closures on Main Street lately? Noticed a long pipe running along the sidewalk? If you have, it's because the City of O'Fallon is replacing old water mains in downtown. Now, here's a quick refresher on the project. The City of O'Fallon Water Department has an existing water main that runs under Main Street, and over the last few years, there have been multiple water main breaks in this area and elsewhere in the city. Water main breaks cause disruptions in service, lane closures for the repairs to the water in main and street, and sometimes boil advisories.
We had a history of water main breaks here on Main Street. So we experienced about 10 breaks a year. That alone disrupts the ability to use this road to travel up and down Main Street and get to these businesses and residents. So after we get this line in, we should have a brand new line that's much more dependable. But it's more than that. In addition to the breaks that disrupted service, you got times when the water main is broken that we have to shut off service. So we have businesses that rely on water for their business that weren't able to have water during that period. In some cases, they have to close their doors.
After City Council approved this $2 million project, staff immediately started planning. In fact, the project design was completed in 2016, and work started in the spring of this year.
The contractor has successfully completed replacing the water main from Pittman to Church Street. We've moved on to the second section south of the railroad tracks, from Church to the railroad tracks. The contractor is currently setting up the temporary water main right now,
which is above grade, and once we get that set up, we pressurize it, we back tee it, and then we hook up the service connections. After the service connections are hooked up, that means all the businesses still have water, and then we can start on replacing the existing main.
We started on the south side on purpose because we knew this was the most congested. We wanted to get that done and out of the way as soon as possible. So the further we move north, the less the impact it's going to have on the traveling public.
Massive projects require coordination between the city and the contractor to ensure that the project runs smoothly with the least amount of interruption.
Well, it takes a lot of cooperation and a little bit of know-how. I will say that I have been doing this for like 45 years, and I really believe now that this thing will proceed as we would like for it to.
It takes everybody working together to get everything done, from getting the pavement up, the existing pavement up, to getting the new water line installed. It takes team effort to get it all done.
To stay updated on this project, you can view updates on the city's website at www.o'fallon.mo.us. Keep watching O'Fallon Matters throughout the year for more updates on this project.
When a unique emergency arises, our firefighters and ambulance crews need to be ready to act. With the help of their annual mass casualty incident training, they're ready to step into any situation. OFallonTV's Brett Figgis takes us to the scene of this year's session.
The familiar rumble of buses ferrying students throughout O'Fallon has died down recently, which means school is officially out for the summer. But while our community enjoys a welcome summer break, there's another group of people who are heading back to the classroom, so to speak, to learn important skills they hope they never have to use. This is the yearly Mass Casualty Incident Training, and it's a joint effort between O'Fallon's Fire Protection District and the St. Charles County Ambulance District to prepare for the unimaginable.
We go through a wide variety of scenarios with this training every year. We have simulated everything from the aftermath of an earthquake to an active shooter situation, and now, as you can see this year, we are doing a multi-vehicle school bus accident so that our crews get a wide array of training opportunity to try out those skills that we hope they never have to put into use, but they've got to be very sharp in the event that this does occur.
What you see here is we have multiple buses that are simulated to be in different styles of motor vehicle crashes. When you have a bus, you have a lot of passengers on it, particularly a lot of children, so it's something that you don't see every day, and it's something we want to be able to train our first responders to be able to handle when they come up on something like this.
The mass casualty incident scenarios are generally extreme situations that allow these crews to test all of their skills and abilities. But they're not far-fetched situations. If you've been following the news, you know our first responders recently faced a real incident involving a school bus, just like they practiced for in this training. While this accident thankfully produced only minor injuries, it's good to know our crews were ready to handle the situation if things had gone much, much worse. To that end, the Mass Casualty Incident Training presented 3 unique scenarios. In the first, a vehicle had crashed head-on with a bus. In the second, a vehicle had slammed into the side of the bus. And in the third, the bus had flipped over onto its side. To add to the difficulty, actors were inside the buses pretending to have a variety of injuries, requiring our first responders to use all of their skills in dealing with this incident.
What we're going to be doing today is kind of an all-encompassing exercise. We're going to be practicing our triaging skills. We're going to be practicing extrication skills. That's more on the fire side. And then we'll also be making transport decisions. We'll be doing some hot wash after the fact to talk about best practices and where we might have been able to improve our operation of this scene. So it's a really valuable opportunity for everybody involved.
The Mass Casualty Incident Training involved about 500 first responders, and the skills these men and women practice will be dearly needed if a disaster like this ever strikes our community.
This isn't something that a firefighter sees on a daily basis and hopefully never in their career, so it's important to be able to train on these kind of things. So when the emergency does happen, the firefighter's prepared to deal with the situation.
Thanks for joining us today. If you have a good story idea, let us know. You can email us at OFallonTV@ofallon.mo.us. Please remember to give back to your community because O'Fallon matters to all of us.